everybody. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Sorry that I've been away for a little while. This is a very special edition of the One Piece Grand Line Opinions and Theories, OP GLOAT. I will be leading into a discussion that I have with a very, very good friend of mine. We talk all things One Piece from the story so far in terms of this story, One Piece, not the band. We talk about Chapter 1000, of course. What a celebration. And we just talk about some of our favorite things that we love about One Piece, what draws us to the show, and what things are to enjoy. So as a result, I hope that you enjoy this. Let's throw to it. Happy Chapter 1000.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to an absolutely grand occasion. One Piece Chapter 1000 has recently come out. I've been kind of working on a little bit reformatting, I guess, how we operate with One Piece Grand Lines, Opinions, and Theories. I kind of want to readjust how I'm approaching videos, and to celebrate, to kind of bring in this whole, I guess, the next, what would we call it? The next saga of One Piece following 1000. I thought we'd kick it off with an awesome little group discussion. One of my great friends down in Melbourne. We're here in Australia. I'm from Brisbane, of course. Brodey, thanks so much for bloody joining us today, man. How are you?
Good, man. It's a pleasure to help you out and to be a part of all this. It's been fun to watch it kind of come together.
Yeah, it's been fun to, like, I guess, kind of continue on piecing it together. It's been going. Like, you've been someone who's been awesome with supporting me and helping me out with it so far. So even just to have you on board with something like this is totally cool. It means a lot to me. So thank you, man.
My pleasure.
Yeah, for a little bit of backstory, I more or less hounded Brodey to get into One Piece, I guess, for a solid period of time. 2020 happened. COVID, hit us all worldwide. We had varying levels of lockdown around the world, around the country. And, it was, I guess, that was as good a time as ever to get into One Piece once it had dropped on Netflix and everything. So, like, how did you start with getting into it?
I mean, I watched it as a kid and then kind of fell off. And then exactly that. It was like a weird aligning of the stars, I guess. We got locked down and I didn't have to go to work. So I was sitting at home, putting stuff on in the background while I was doing my studies. And Netflix dropped One Piece. And I was like, oh, I'll put this on purely to message you and be like, oh, I'm watching One Piece, to get a rise out of you. And then I reckon, both like early One Piece, but more specifically like the English dub, I think is like a bit more child friendly. So it's super easy to like digest, even if you're only like half watching it. And once I hit Alabasta, I was like, cool, I'm in.
Yeah, because that's how I haven't like watched it on Netflix or anything and seen how far it goes. It goes up to Alabasta, right?
Yeah, so it goes to Alabasta, and then that's, at least when I was watching it, that's when it stopped.
Yeah, and in my opinion, like, I feel like if you go through One Piece on Netflix, you get to Alabasta. If you've made it that far, like, you're pretty invested and you're thinking, dear God, I've got to see like where this goes on from next. So then, to my understanding as well, at some point you converted over to the dub over to the sub as opposed to the dub. Was there like a particular reasoning behind it for you?
I mean, I'd love for it to be like a whole like purist reason, but it was purely because subbed episodes became easier to find than dubbed ones.
Yeah.
So I did that just purely because of that, and I did it for about, I think, a couple of days trying, and I couldn't enjoy it the same because I was half watching still. And if I left the room and came back, I'd have no idea what was going on. So that was when I made the switch to the manga instead, so I could digest it quicker and also not have to try and read subtitles while I'm in the other room. And I'm blind as it is, so it wasn't working.
Because I absolutely love that when you told me, you're like, okay, like this is starting to get really, really good. I'm enjoying and loving One Piece, and I need to consume this quicker. And I guess it's kind of good that you did, because I was hyping Chapter 1000 basically all of 2020 and was like, listen, man, you got to get up to date. We'll chat about it. Everything's come full circle now, which is just like, so it's really cool. It's really cool. I'm so stoked that, like, I've been alongside this journey. It's been cool to watch someone, I guess, progress through it. I've had a handful of friends that aren't going through at the same pace as you, but like, following your reactions and then remembering how I felt when I got to particular points, like, it was cool to like be a part of your journey so far. Like, have you got any favorite moments or favorite arcs, perhaps, that really stand out to you now that we're 1,000 chapters in?
I think the ones that really stand out, I think Alabaster. Like
Mm,
I said to you when I got to it, like that really feels like the point where it goes from being like any old shonen anime to being like One Piece. And
mm,
then, but even before that, like Nami and Luffy's scene in the Arlong Park arc was definitely like that first real emotional moment. Um, Crocodile as a character, really, I love him.
mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of the Impel Down is like a whole arc and a moment as like a nice little celebration of the story to that point in a way, with all like the callbacks to characters and things.
Yeah, and
Um,
having them reappear in the
yeah,
in the series.
Marineford in its entirety was just amazing.
Yeah.
Um, and then Sanji's backstory,
Oh
Whole Cake,
man.
which
Oh
was
man.
that was a big
That's what
one.
I love. Like, we've got all these different arcs. We've had all these different arcs, and I feel as though each individual one, like, there's always something that
Mm,
is different to enjoy. As you said, Impel Down's a bit of a celebration of how far the series has come, bringing in all the old characters and whatnot. Marineford is just like I'm someone who in my animes I love fight scenes, whether like it's Dragon Ball Z or One Piece, of course, as well. And even if we're going to say Pokemon, like I love those animations too. I love fight scenes in animes, and Marineford was just like anime war porn. Basically, we got so many different like dream matchups that we never could have predicted in like the previous 400 episodes. We get really cool glimpses of how far Luffy has to go, and then for your arcs like Whole Cake Island, fantastic backstories for Sanji. It was really heart tugging in that one. Like, I thought that his original backstory, like back at the Barity with Chef
yeah,
Zeph and
true.
everything like that, I was like, man, that's really touching. Little did we know, Sanji is a very, very layered man.
Yes.
And yeah, and I think as well, for me personally, especially with Sanji's whole character development in that arc, I think his relationship with his mum did a lot to kind of accentuate the person that he is, how he treats women, whilst he might be a little bit, over the top in terms of trying to make them all fall in love with them. Um, I think that, a lot of his adoration for women is just due to how his mum and also his sister, actually. His
Mm,
sister was very, very
absolutely.
sweet to him as well.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it doesn't come as a surprise to me why Sanji holds them on a pedestal after that arc. It gives us a little bit more to bite into outside of nosebleeds and love hard eyes for what we've gotten so far. And then as well, like something that I kind of wanted to touch on with you getting into One Piece over the past 10 months, and as someone who, you've enjoyed your shonens and your animes here and there through your life previously as well. How does One Piece kind of compare to you for other things? Because for me personally, I guess my main ones growing up, mentioned them before, Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon. Fantastic series, no doubt about it. Like really, really awesome. But for me, One Piece has, especially with the length that it's built a whole entire world, a whole entire universe in a similar way that Marvel has its own cinematic universe now. Like, whilst it's not in that sort of region, but the series itself is so massive, and as we said before, with backstories, with the level of character development, it hits a depth with me that I guess other animes don't quite fill that void of what I'm looking for. I didn't even know I wanted that in an anime until I'd found it with One Piece. I was cool with fighting animals and aliens and all of that, but now I
Yes.
love pirates. So is it kind of the same thing for you?
I think so. I mean, I've always had like a weird, like on again, off again relationship with like animes and stuff. It's the same, like Pokemon, Digimon, Dragon Ball, and all those things. And then the last one, like I remember watching Full Metal Alchemist for the first time and really taking away that that felt different in the same way, like with the characters and the emotion and the story. It was not just like, let's watch the cool dude fight the evil alien and this will be sick. It was more
Yeah.
like, it felt like a bit more, for like lack of a better term that I can think of, it felt more like a real like TV show rather than like an
Mm,
anime, um, to use broad strokes. And then One Piece very much the same. Like I feel like once you hit Alabaster, it takes that turn. Like it's got its moments, but like when you think of like the cartoons you would have watched on like Toaster TV or Cheese TV, you don't expect to then have like that 5 episode arc where it's just Luffy grieving Ace, and it's just a massive discussion of loss and emotion and death. And
Hmm.
it's like, it's not even like an anime trying to be edgy and dark. It's just like emotions.
Yeah.
And I think it does a good job of being something, especially with the length it's got. Like Full Metal Alchemist is a fingernail the size of what One Piece is, especially Brotherhood. So to pack that much into now 1,000 chapters worth, to a point where you can have something like 1,000 and still have like emotional like resonance, and not just be like, yeah, cool. Oh, yeah, look at what Luffy did. That's awesome. Like
Yeah.
you still be invested and still, I don't know, like enjoying this like roller coaster that you're kind of getting pulled on. I think it's got a lot, as you said, dude, like a lot more like depth to it, and not just
Hmm.
in the sense that it's, I don't know, like more mature. It's got depth in the way that it's just there's so much more going on than being an anime about pirates.
Yeah, because like as you were saying, like I had my initial introduction to One Piece, I suppose, when I was a kid watching it on Toasted TV, Cheese TV, and whatnot. And at that time, I saw it as an anime about pirates, and I'm like, oh, this is really
Yeah,
cool. Like, there's some funky rubber man who's fighting fish people, and like, wow, this is so random and cool. And then, as you say, like once you get to Alabasta and have it expand, and that's kind of where I came back into it in my later years. That's when I realized how in depth this story does go, how much is going into it. And I never thought that I could love a bloody protagonist in any TV series as much as I freaking love Luffy. Like,
yeah,
he's the embodiment of an absolutely fantastic anime character, in my opinion, as far as all of that goes. So you're right. Like the depth to it, it's it's come a long way for me
it has.
personally. I never expected myself to get this much into it. And then a couple of years ago, I was like, okay, I'm obsessed. Like here we are. And now here we are with 1,000 chapters, which is, again, an achievement in itself. Not a lot of mangas or TV series or anything can accomplish that. And with what you were saying before, going on as well for me, still having that emotional investment in the series, like things start to hit like 4 or 5 seasons on TV, and they're
Yeah.
running out of ammo, the
Mm.
storylines get a bit stale, or they're very typical tropes that we've seen from other shows and everything. And whilst One Piece certainly carries on from tropes and things that are definitely borrowed
Yeah,
from
of
other
course.
animes, the way that Oda writes it is like, I don't want to be so biased because I love One Piece so much, but Oda just does a fantastic job of keeping us engaged constantly. And yeah, to do it for 1,000 chapters is a massive achievement. And the fan base in general, I would like to believe has kind of the same sentiment with it as well. And with this getting to chapter 1,000, let's dive into it now. Now that we've finally gotten all the salutations and whatnot out
Yes,
of the way,
yes.
um, I want to know how you felt about it because I think we touched on it a little bit, like over Messenger and stuff. I've seen a bit of an opposing consensus of people who approach chapter 1,000 with the Shanks is going to show up,
Yeah.
Dragon's going to show up, we're going to go back to the Reverie or find out about the Will of D and something like that. And I won't lie, like I personally did have high
Mm.
expectations for the chapter as well, probably expecting, one, if not more of those things to come to fruition. But ultimately, we didn't get any of that. But it was still fantastic in the way that like the chapter to me was like an ode to our hero, to our fantastic protagonist. It was just this big tribute to Luffy from top to bottom, kind of in the way that you said Impel Down's a callback for most of the season. Like I feel like Chapter 1,000 was a callback for the entire series of One Piece, specifically around Luffy and how he is as a character, a celebration of him more or less. And like, did you kind of get that same vibe as well once you'd read through it?
I think I didn't. I think I definitely. I think because we'd had discussions about like the big things that we'd kind of predicted,
Too many discussions.
and we both kind of had that idea. Like I remember we said to each other that there needs to be something, because if there's nothing for the sake of like swerving and being like, oh, you thought something was going to happen but it didn't, that it couldn't be like a filler chapter. And I think the first time going through it, it felt not like a filler chapter, but I was like, there's nothing here.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
disappointed, but there's nothing here.
Mm-hmm.
And then you messaged me and you were like, I love that it's titled Straw Hat Luffy. And I was like, I wonder why. And then I kind of was like, and I remember reading it when the proper official came out.
Yeah.
And kind of getting it a bit more that it was, and I'd seen it in like now that I'm a part of One Piece groups and things, seeing other people talking about the pros of it being like this little encapsulation of Luffy and who he is as a character and a person. And I think while in the moment right now, it's kind of like, oh, that was 1,000. Because it felt like that was everything. Like the whole like One Piece fandom was like, we are getting to 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna happen, and it happened, and everyone was like, oh, okay.
yeah, I can get that vibe.
But I feel like in retrospect, when you're like, who knows, like 1,300 chapters in or something, you can look back at 1,000 as like this nice little Luffy. Look at him. This is our boy. This is our dude. And it won't feel as disappointing.
Yeah.
Because it'll have its... Because you can do reveals and swerves and big story moments in any chapter. Whereas I feel like maybe he's picked 1,000 for the reason of like, everyone's looking at it to be like, what's this going to happen? And Oda's like, I just want you to appreciate Luffy. And it's kind of sweet. In like the most like, I guess, nerdy way it can be. It's really sweet.
No, I love the way that you'd put that. I hadn't even thought of it being from the aspect of like, yep, there's all these eyes now in chapter 1,000. Because like off the top of my head, trying to remember, like I keep up to date with One Piece through Reddit. And when the chapters are released weekly, they get from like, I'd average from 7 to 10,000 upvotes and whatnot on the post, whereas chapter 1,000, like it had barely dropped. I think we'd only had spoilers and it was already up to 10,000, and then the chapter had dropped and then it had shot up to 20,000, and last time I checked, I think it might have been around 27,000 or something like that. So you're absolutely right in saying there was a lot of attention on it, and it was just the, hey, here's our hero, like and he's just the best, because as we were saying before, it does kind of flash back a lot on what we've gotten from Luffy. And I was in the same mindset of like, when I first got through the chapter, I was like, I was like, so like, yeah, that was it. Like that just kind of happened. Okay, cool. And then as I had a couple of other like looks through of it and took myself out of the mindset of, I'm reading chapter 1,000. What's going to happen? Oh my God. Like, where's this? Where's that? And I was just like, just go through it, just cruise through. And that's kind of when these other things started to hit me. I started getting flashbacks to previous points in the story. One of them, which still is quite ambiguous, which I loved it, the flashback between Ace and Yamato, and how it kind of drops in with Ace apologizing, saying, I didn't mean to let that slip out. Clearly talking about a dream of Luffy's as the conversation starts. And initially when I read it, I was like, duh, he's talking about he wants to be the king of the freaking pirates. Like, that's his dream. No crap. Like, that's what it is. But then I had a flashback to Sabaody Archipelago, because when they are discussing, I feel as though they would have explicitly mentioned, oh, Luffy's dream is to be the king of the pirates. But I flash back to Sabaody when Rayleigh was like, this kid reminds me a lot of Gol D. Roger in terms of him being the whole, my goal is to be the most free man of the sea. That's why I want to be king of the pirates, because I have this freedom. And like, even though it was left kind of on an ambiguous note, I feel as though that will play quite an important role in the story, because I also had the assumption that the man Yamato was talking about from Odin's journal was Roger. That was just my immediate assumption. Kind of after looking at other reactions, other comments and things, it's been alluded to that like maybe, from Odin traveling with Whitebeard, from traveling with Gold Roger, seeing the poneglyphs, getting to Laugh Tale, maybe he learnt a bit about Joy Boy. Maybe Joy Boy was saying the same kind of stuff back in the day of like, back then, I don't know if they would have had a whole King of the Pirates moniker, you know, that might not have been the whole deal with the Void Century. And maybe Joy Boy was just like, I want to be free, dude. Like,
Mm.
I want to be happy. We can all just be one fantastic civilization and we just explore the world and do whatever. So like what's your opinion on that with like, do you think that it's relevant to Joy Boy, or do you think it is still potentially Odin and the whole King of the Pirates side of things for Luffy?
I think depends how it plays out, because you could easily play it out like almost both ways.
Mm.
Like you can be vague enough where it's not so much like we'll ever flash back to that conversation and find out, but more like that flashback's there to put all of that out there
Mm.
to be touched on later. And I feel like the being the like the most free man in the world is almost like the most satisfying version of One Piece, where if it ends with like a the journey is the friends we made along the way kind of ending, you know, like you could easily go down the route where maybe Luffy doesn't become king of the pirates, but he's like,
What a cop out that would be.
like I feel like that's be the only way you could do it. Like you could do it and you could literally call it out, like that he could be upset, like he's like, "Oh, I'm not king of the pirates," and you could have Rayleigh be the dude that says it, and be like, "No, but you're the most free man in the world, and if that's not being a king, then what is?" kind of thing. Like, and it'd be like the easiest, like it's not what you wanted, but it's still good.
Yeah, you've still
Um,
accomplished your goal, if that was your goal, maybe just
mm,
not with the same outcome that you might have had initially.
but there's the, I think the one that has, I feel like that one you can kind of go either way. I
Mm.
think the Joy Boy Odin one. I mean, we've talked about it before. I don't like the whole Luffy is Joy Boy thing, because I just want Luffy to be Luffy. I
Yeah,
don't
like
I don't
we're not in the whole reincarnation bandwagon.
know. I'm all for carrying on the legacy of someone, but I don't think Luffy needs to be a reincarnated version of some dude from the past to be good. I think it's a much better story if Luffy's just a guy who's accomplished all these things because that's who he is.
Yeah.
I don't need him to be a reincarnated version of a character that's not really even in the story. Um, so I feel like that one could be. I feel like it's Odin. I feel like that's the idea.
Yeah.
It's with given that it's Wano and everything, but maybe that all those reasons are the perfect reason why it's a swerve. Um, but I would prefer it if they were just talking about Odin, or
Yeah.
maybe a swerve to another character. Ah, sorry, not talking about Odin, talking about Roger. Um, or like if you swerve it to any other character, but I don't need it to be. I feel like the way that Oda's done it right now, where people just kind of talk about them in the same breath, like, oh, that Luffy, he reminds me of, you know, the stories we'd hear about this Joy Boy guy.
Hmm.
That's enough. Just to see these people who are like, these two, very similar. You don't need to then go, right, now let's confirm that they are the same, like, in any way, shape, or form. Because I feel like Luffy's the kind of character where if you were like, you're the reincarnated version of Joy Boy, he'd be like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah. He would probably have like the most just what? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about kind of thing. And I feel like One Piece or Oda, I guess, does a really good way of addressing, I don't want to use the word reincarnation, but kind of approaching it in a different way with like carrying on the will of dreams of somebody. That
Mm.
is such a great, profound motif throughout the entirety of One Piece. And it
Yes.
does the story itself a lot better justice. As you said, as opposed to Luffy accomplishing all of these things because he's the reincarnation of Joy Boy. It's still Luffy being Luffy, but he's carrying on the dreams of someone else who, you know, was a very important figure in the past, also wanted to be the most free person ever. And that's how they're likened to it. And they have that relation due to a shared dream, which is what I love about One Piece. Like the
Mm.
Straw Hats came together because they've all got their individual dreams and they more or less all share Luffy's dream of making him the king of the pirates. And he's basically said in turn, you're going to accomplish your dreams as well by being with me. So I really like dreams in general for One Piece. I wonder sometimes if that's what the D stands for.
Eh.
God knows what it could be. Maybe it's just D. Maybe it's like an instance of Homer J. Simpson. It's just J, but they
Yeah,
just get the D for it, which would be absolutely.
I'd love that.
I don't know how to take it. At first, I'd be like, "What? That's such a cop out," and then I'd be like, "Nah, that's pretty on point. That's pretty on point."
It's one hell of a meme you could make.
Oh man, and I bet Oda would just be sitting there like laughing about it to himself if that was the way that he went with it too. But yeah, flicking back to more of, I guess, this whole ode to Luffy side of things for chapter 1000. The one that hit me hard that didn't initially, his interaction with Kinemon, like just sensing the scabbards, walking straight past Kaido and Big Mom, just being like, "Yo, Kinemon, you okay? Are you all good?" Tears pouring down his face, saying, "I have failed. We have failed. We cannot bear to face Odin in the afterlife because we haven't done what we said we were going to do." And he's like, he's done the Nami scene from Arlong Park. He's done what Vivi did back in Alabasta. He's done what Robin did at motherfucking Annie's lobby when she was standing up there and just said, "I want to live." And Kinemon said, "Can you please save Wano?" And Luffy's just like, "Yep. No problem. Law, get these guys downstairs. We're about to kick shit off right now." Yeah, so obviously this is another throwback to what has happened previously in the story and going back to how much I love Luffy as a protagonist, really. Like, this is a quality of his that he just has an undying loyalty for his allies, for his friends, and it's really embodied within this moment. Even though it was like really kind of short and sweet, quick and over, I think it captured it really brilliantly. Are there any other ones that kind of come to the top of your head where a character has maybe reached out to, whether it be Luffy or a Straw Hat, and just said, "I need your help right now"?
I feel like it's a weird criticism that I think I've seen a bit of One Piece, that every arc kind of has not the same thing, but the same beats. And I feel like, I mean, I can't think of them all off the top of my head. You've listed most of them, and I can think of like maybe not the princess herself, but like all of like the Fishman Island people as well, kind of being like, "This is our guy." I feel like every arc has the moment where someone turns to Luffy and is like, "Help," in one way, shape, or form. Yeah, and I feel like you'd really like, just off the top of my head while you were talking about it, I was thinking about it. Where like, I feel like at every point until now, whenever someone turns to Luffy and has their "please help me" moment, it's almost like he's like friendly with people because he's the nicest guy alive.
Yep.
But he's kind of like always helping these people just out of the goodness of his heart. Yeah. Like you've got these people who like Vivi's the one I first thought of with that scene, weirdly more than the Nami one.
Yeah. Okay.
But like even like they're close, like they know each other, but they're not like friends, you know? It's kind of like that's the moment where they're like let down their defenses, because all those characters are all like strong characters, and they kind of let down their walls and kind of go, "I can't do this, please help." And I feel like something that was kind of cool about it being different this time with the scabbards is that Kinemon and Luffy are already like tight.
Yeah.
So it's almost different in a way. Like before this, it's been people going, "You're for some reason here to help, so please help." And he's like, "I will do it out of the goodness of my heart." And his whole thing is kind of, "I'm gonna stop the bad guy doing bad things to these good people." Whereas this one is like bigger stakes, because it's like his friend being like, "I need you," and Luffy being like turning to Kaido and Big Mom and being like, "You fucked with my friends.
You're in trouble."
Yeah, so it kind of like takes it up a notch in a way. I think the other one that I thought of with lots of flashbacks is, it's plain and simple, is Luffy just decking someone.
Yeah.
It's like his go-to thing. He just punches someone square in the face. We'll get a whole spread panel of the punch and then move on. I reckon, again, he's probably done that in every single arc as well.
Yeah, and like, so yeah, obviously here you're like referencing that final page base where he's red rocked Kaido into absolute oblivion, which you know, I'd say probably like that was my like holy shit moment for
Yep.
chapter 1000. Like everything was cruising, and then again the lead up to it is again what I really loved about this whole ode to Luffy chapter, because Luffy is so fearless in terms of expressing his dream. He'll encounter the main bad guy for whatever arc, for whatever island they're on, and he'll be like, hey, my name's Monkey D. Luffy. I'm going to be king of the pirates. And like they've been toying with his dream with the Ace and Yamato flashback. Kaido's like, Big Mom, you know what he said to me earlier? Like, isn't this punk just ridiculous? And Big Mom's like, yeah, he said the same to me. So that as soon as that kind of got laid, I was waiting for it. I'm ready for like, okay, Luffy, announce it. Like, you've gone through your training. You can, I don't know if he could beat either of the Yonko one-on-one, but like, you know, he could put up a fight at this point without a doubt. And I wanted my mans to confidently say, I'm going to be king of the pirates. He went one fucking better. Dodges Kaido's attack, jumps up. I still don't know if he used the advanced haki technique in this one. Like, he definitely could have, but he's also done a lot of training. Like, it could have just been a big physical strength boost that's now allowed him to just rock Kaido. Like, Kaido's going to get up, obviously. That's obviously not going to knock him out. But with, like, the exclamation marks and the question marks, like, Kaido is shocked. He's been hurt here, and he's like, holy crap, what's going on, sort of deal. And something that I, again, noted from looking at comments in the community and listening to other videos as reactions for 1000, apparently that shot is borderline a mirror image of Luffy punching the Sea King back in like the first arc when he's leaving his island. And then again, that gets us from the progress of him being, he's a wimpy little kid. And then Shanks has to save him, loses an arm. Luffy grows up and he one punches this beast that scared him when he was a child. Flash forward a little bit to Sabaody. We've seen the pacifistas, how strong they can be and like how deadly really they are once they were introduced in the Marineford War. But then when we return to Sabaody, we got the epic one shot of Luffy just smacking down a pacifista, no issues. And then now we've gotten again, when Luffy was first introduced to Kaido, one-shotted, knocked out, didn't even give a crap about him. That was kind of like a very humbling moment, I think, both for Luffy and the fans, because I was like, Luffy hasn't been challenged to that level yet. Like, he's had some good challenges. No one's one-shotted him like that and like just straight up flattened him. We've had, I don't know, give or take 80 or so chapters, 90, 70, whatever it may be. We've come back and now we see this progress again of how much Luffy has improved, being able to damage Kaido. And do you think that the training he's done so far is appropriate, I guess? Again, I don't want to say to beat a Yonko, but putting up a fair fight for the level that he's at now.
I think so. I think what I took away from that, especially like when he walks in between them, which
that was so tough.
I legitimately did not even, I don't know if I was reading too fast. I don't know if I just was not paying attention, but I just didn't even, I saw the panel of Kaido and Big Mom standing there and just thought it was a panel of Kaido and Big Mom standing there. Didn't even notice little Luffy walking between them until I read it back and I was like, oh, that's a flex.
Yeah. Because I thought he'd gone off to the side or something like that. And then in the same ilk, I sort of read back and I went, man, he just walked straight through them and didn't give a damn.
So I don't think Luffy's like training for those few chapters is like enough. I don't. I think, especially when he's like, you know, he's lined up with the worst gen that's there. It's obviously not going to be Luffy versus, it's not going to be like a one-on-one thing. It'll be like a bit of a battle royal of everyone. But I think that's what you want. Like, I don't think you want to go into this going, oh, Luffy wins. That's cool. You know, you want that drama. And I feel like that, again, to put the chapter into like this whole like Luffy appreciation post, that's almost like who he is. Like, whether he's strong enough or not, dude's not afraid. He's just like he walked, but dude will go into battle with them. He's going to fight them. And he'll do everything he can. I mean, we have our theory on how Kaido goes down.
Yeah.
And I think that is how it goes. I think Luffy might not get the finishing blow, but I feel like you'll get that real. Maybe the Yonkos are winning, but it's Luffy that just won't quit.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's fighting for his friends, he's fighting for Wano, he's doing all the Luffy things, you know? And maybe the reason why it's kind of harping back to the Sea King stuff is, you know, we know that Shanks is inbound. Um, so maybe the whole idea is that Luffy needs to do that thing to be at a point where he can meet Shanks again.
Yeah, because I've been pining for the whole we'll meet again when you're a great pirate.
Yeah, and maybe this is how he goes from being like he's a great pirate, but
No doubt.
maybe it's the taking down some Yonko that kind of Shanks is then like, all right, all right, all right, all right.
Yeah, I feel like Luffy just needs, like, he's obviously progressed fantastically as a pirate, but I feel like he just needs that one mega feat that is just like solidifies him, because he's unofficially the fifth Yonko at the moment. You know, it kind of got reported. People are starting to take him a bit more seriously, and obviously everything that happened at Whole Cake Island was pretty exaggerated by Big News Morgans and everything.
Yes.
But he does need just that one thing that I think just puts him over the tipping point. And Wano very well could be it, which would be absolutely awesome if that's how it all ends up going down. Do you see more people getting involved in the fight, or is the 5 that we've got now how that fight is going to continue on for the moment?
I wouldn't be surprised if maybe like you get a few little run-ins.
Mm-hmm.
I could see Marco
Yep.
popping in. I feel like you're gonna have like the worst gen that we've got, the two Yonkos. That's kind of our main fight on the rooftop.
Yeah.
And we've kind of got those little things like you got Jinbei squaring up against some people, Marco as well. You know, you've got like all the little fights that are always going on. Like Frankie's squared up as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've got everyone setting themselves up for their kind of end of arc fight. Again, all the arcs kind of do the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It took a long time for Wano to get there.
yeah, dude, it was slow burn, slow burn.
Yeah.
So I could see like maybe, you know, for instance, maybe Jinbei takes down whoever he's fighting, and then Jinbei joins in for like a last minute save.
Mm.
Like that would make sense because maybe him fighting Big Mom is like a nice little like full circle for Jinbei. You know,
That's cool. That's cool.
Marco as well. But then you could also maybe like Queen gets back up to the roof, and maybe like Luffy's about to get a winning blow, and Queen steps in.
Yeah.
Like little things like that I could see, but I feel like the meat of everything is because it's what it's been building to. At the very least, it's Law Kid, Luffy, Kaido, Big Mom. Like that's at the very least it's that. I reckon they'll probably kill off like Killer, maybe.
Oh. Ouch. I could see it happening too. You could be right there, but also big ouch. Big ouch.
Look, as long as a poo dies, I'm happy.
I've been waiting for this whole video. I've been waiting to get to that, and I knew it was going to come here because, as soon as we got to the worst gen, I think it might have been chapter 997 or 998 on the front panel. There was like a bit of side text that was like, "This is it. It's happening. The worst generation versus Kaido." So going on from what you were saying, who else could potentially pop up? Like X-Drake has turned. He just chomped the holy shit out of Apu. I'm not sure if there'll be anyone standing in his way at this time, but I could see him kind of trying to get his way to the roof as well if he ends up getting involved. Hawkins is going to follow the cards. I think the second that a card reveals he has a better probability of siding with the Straw Hat Alliance as opposed to Kaido, he'll turn as well. That's fine.
That could be a nice like what I'm thinking, whether you've got those like last minute appearances by people. That'd be a nice one, like Hawkins switching at the most dire moment to kind of even the odds, maybe.
Like, even though maybe the odds are stacked against the Alliance at the time, maybe Hawkins does a little card reading and he's like, oh, they've gone to 51% chance of winning if I get involved or something like that. Like, I feel like there's going to be a lot of small moments like that within this fight where the tide's just going to shift back and forth a lot. It's going to leave us questioning things. And I think one of those big tide shifters will be Zoro cutting Kaido. I think like without a doubt that's going to happen. I just pray that he hits that scar that Odin's made. You know, Enma's getting another slice at it. He's probably going to recognize that. I think he's going to see Odin's shadow with Zoro as well. But yeah, I'm getting really far ahead of myself with all of that stuff. So I can see other worse gen people popping up. I know you hate him. I am very interested on the status of Apu at the moment. Like, he realistically should be dead.
Yes.
Zoro smoked him.
Yes.
Smoked him. I was amazed that he showed up in 999, but then Drake just kind of went, fuck you anyway, and then just took a big bite out of him. So that for me is enough damage to get rid of someone, even if they are from the worst generation. Like, come on. But yeah, I'm thinking maybe like, because Jack went down to recover. He might be like a final hurdle for X Drake to overcome, or maybe for Jimbei as well. That could be quite a fun one, because I'm not sure if we've discussed it. Jack's half fishman. So I thought Jimbei and Jack were actually going to end up fighting off at some point, which I would still actually love if they did, because I love Jack as a character, and I've really come to love Jimbei as well. He is just the absolute old man G of the Straw Hats, and the turning point for me for him was that face off with Big Mom, where he's just like, yes, Sun Pirates, we're out. And then she tried to do, what was it, Soul or tried to do that game that she did, but because Jimbei wasn't afraid, it just had no effect on him. And I was like, okay, this man's a boss. So he should end up having a pretty good fight against Who's Who. Yeah, he's up against Who's Who as a Saber Cat Tiger, but I would love for him to come get involved, whether it be in that major fight or going up against Jack. Would be really, really awesome. I guess, yeah, we've pretty much covered all the Chappie 1000 stuff. So we'll go into a couple of like little closing bad boys. At this stage, like, do you have any hunches or maybe any assumptions as to what the One Piece could be?
The One Piece. That's
a loaded question. That is such a loaded question.
I think there's a part of me that's coming from the fact that, like, for instance, you have digested and studied One Piece for years, right? I consumed a good portion of it because I was bored.
Yeah, that's
and then got into it, and then have retroactively gone, no, I'm really in love with this. So there's a part of me that's still like, because I've had it for 10 months, which is weird to think that I've consumed more One Piece this year than I've consumed like Dragon Ball, which I've loved since I was a kid, because there's just not as much.
It is insane. It is insane when you put it that way. Because I know how much you love Dragon Ball too.
Exactly. So it's weird. But I could see there's a part of me that would just love for it to be like the friends we made along the way kind of thing, or something I've ever since those flashback chapters with Roger, where he finds the One Piece and laughs. For whatever reason, from then, I've had like the image in my head of it being like an empty chest.
Oh.
And just having it be like all the bells and whistles, maybe like, you know, a big pirate temple, and then, you know, all those kinds of things. And then you reach this giant chest and you crank it open and there's just nothing in it. Like something like that. I don't know why, but I've latched myself onto it. Because other than that, there's like, I know that I read a theory when I caught up, and I was like, right, I'm going to go sink myself into a theory hole and I'll be back.
Get into the fandom of it all.
And there was the theory that it's One Piece, as in Peace, Peace.
Okay.
Piece of something. So the idea is that the One Piece treasure is literally just achieving world peace.
Yeah.
Which I like is like a nice swerve if you're going to do it. Because on the other hand, like, what you assume it's a treasure because it's pirates, that it's like some mass wealth of fortune kind of thing. But like, what do? Like, Luffy goes on this journey, finds the One Piece, opens it, and he's rich.
Yeah. I feel like that would be a bigger cop-out.
I agree.
Nothing.
I agree. It's kind of like, okay, that's like the most obvious thing. Not predictable, but like, well, that would make sense. That's probably what it would be.
Like, it's too logical that I don't want it.
Yeah, it's it'd be almost like you'd be like, well, it's just treasure. All right,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I like where you're going with like the one piece like kind of thing
Mm.
with it, because a similar kind of essence that I've also read some theories and whatnot is that maybe somehow the One Piece could be something that might be involved with, I don't know, let's just say getting involved with the ancient weapons to destroy the red line to make the entire ocean one piece. So it's no
Yes.
longer north blue, south blue, east blue, west blue. Everything joins together into one piece. Also
Yep.
potentially achieving peace, which would be really cool. And
I like
then
that.
part of me, which like really rides with that theory and kind of why I would be stoked if that were what it was. I'd be fine if it wasn't. That would subsequently achieve Sanji's dream of the all
Mm,
blue coming to
yes.
fruition, because then he has got one ocean where all of the fish from all of the different seas come together because it's one piece. So something along those lines is something I've toyed with for a while, which would be cool. But yeah, it's really hard to pick down because I think Oda has said that like it's something tangible. Like there's something to it that
Mm. It's a
does.
thing.
And yeah. And I still think in the essence of you saying like an empty chest, I still think that's a tangible thing with a lesson to come from it, and then help them, whether it be achieve peace of some kind of either spelling for that word. Yeah, from the story that's been gained from there on and moving forward, which leads me to thinking that the world government will be the end game and like destroying Mary is kind of the final
Yeah.
goal. But you know, Oda's gonna write his story how he wants to. We're gonna love it anyway.
Yeah,
I'm
we'll
sure.
suck it. We'll just enjoy it and
Yeah.
praise it, sing his praises. But like that, the sea, that like those are the things where if I look at theories, those are the ones that make sense. Because
Mhm.
it's not like, okay, so one piece is in like the ocean becoming a whole one piece again. And then you go, which would also disrupt what the world government's doing, who are being positioned as villains. So like all those things they start to click together and you go, that makes a lot of sense versus just some random theory where you go, oh, it's gonna be Shanks's arm. Why? Well, that'd be fun. Well, imagine if it was like that's it.
Shanks is the guardian of the One Piece because his arm
Yeah,
is
that's
in the
it.
final chest.
That's
Oh man, that would be a plot twist. That would definitely be a plot twist. And then I'd hope, I don't know, maybe like someone could reattach their arm, get Shanks's superpowers, and I'm just really keen to see that man fight. In all honesty, as well, I'm really glad Oda said that 2021 we're getting some Shanks, because it's been too long. It's been over it's been 1,000 chapters now, and we know like an atom of information about this man. So that'll be cool and exciting. We'll finish it off. This is my one final super theory that I wanted to discuss. That is far more important than anything else, far more important than what the One Piece might be. Kaido the fish. Because your theory, your little one that you got to me once we kind of got that announcement, that it really got me thinking. It really got me thinking, because for a long time, I myself personally have thought that Big Mom's lifelong debt would either have something to do with Kaido's powers. Like I thought maybe he was like, I don't know, like maybe an inanimate dragon statue that Big Mom gave life to as a homie, and then
Mm.
that was how but for some reason he can shapeshift or transform. So there's a lot of variables that came into it. I also thought that potentially it was going to end up being Kaido's had the new Onigashima plan project, kind of in like his back pocket for many, many years. And I thought that maybe Yamato was Big Mom's offspring as well. And that he was like,
Yes.
hey, I need an offspring, or, an heir to rule New Onigashima when I get to that point. But we ended up being completely proven wrong. Kaido is, well, he might still actually be a dragon. God knows. It turns out that the lifelong debt was in regards to a legendary fish fruit, which people have probably pondered before. We've come so far in the story, we might not have thought it was possible. But to recap, what do you think Kaido is? You kick it
Oh,
off.
my theory. I'm gonna have to try and remember it. I don't think I've thought about it since I pitched it to you.
I think the mention of it was like Kaido is a fish,
Yes,
or
that was the
yeah.
crux of it. That this was when we had, I can't, like, so we know it's called the fish fruit.
Mhm.
So my theory was, I finished reading it. I sent you a video of me with my theory, which was that Kaido is a fish,
Mhm.
and that he was, so sometime after Big Mom eats her family and is all alone, she finds a fish and it becomes her best friend because, you know, she's got no one else. Big Mom's whole thing of a character is wanting to be a family and be together and everyone as one. Um, and so she finds this fish, she falls in love with it. It's her best friend, but it's just a fish. So
Mhm.
Big Mom, being the ridiculously powerful thing she is, somehow stumbles upon this ancient, powerful devil fruit and gives it to her pet fish to turn it into a person. So it's a tangible friend for her, and it becomes Kaido. And
Yeah.
that's how it all kind of goes from there. And then
Yeah.
Big Mom's debt is giving him life.
Life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that could be real cool because I think you had said as well that Kaido would have specifically been. Is it a carp or a koi fish from
Oh,
the?
that part too. Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
the whole idea of that then becomes, I was shattered because I said it to you and then I saw it everywhere. But the old Japanese mythology is that a koi fish that can swim up a waterfall becomes a dragon.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's specifically koi fish, and the legend I'm familiar with is a koi.
Yeah, I
Um,
do believe it is.
so the idea being, obviously, he's a fish, and now he can turn into a dragon. Kind of echoes that bit of Japanese mythology, and we've already had imagery of going up waterfalls and
Yeah. That's
stuff like
Wano.
that.
That's how
Yeah.
you get into Wano.
So you've got a lot in there where there's a lot in there that points to that's at least might be what's going on.
Mm.
Um, the only hole in my he's a fish that became a person theory is where's the dragon coming from?
Yeah, because that's what
Um,
I was kind of trying to lean to there of like if his initial form was a koi fish, similar to how we've had other Japanese mythological creatures, I guess, such as like a nine-tailed fox, Kawamatsu is a kappa, even though he's actually a fish man. But yeah, maybe if the koi fish was his initial form and One Piece is staying true to its mystical Japanese creatures, maybe he evolved into
yeah,
big Gyarados Kaido
and
dragon
Big
guy
Mom raised him,
potentially.
got him
Yeah,
up
yeah.
above.
So like the dragon could still be his initial form, potentially.
Yeah.
But it's a really cool theory. When you hit me with that, I was like, okay, okay.
There's just some
Because
dots that need to be connected, and then it makes sense.
yeah, I think that's the thing with most theories. You know, as soon as we get like one bit of information, we just go like full. Okay, okay, like this here and that, and then when you get like when you get deep into it, you're like, I'm missing a chunk of,
Yes.
of something that will make this logical, and then we just kind of hold out and hope that Oda might fill those gaps down the line. My side of it that I'd thought of with the fish fruit, I had mentioned it to you, is like potentially it's rocks. Maybe it previously belonged to Rocks D. Zebek. Only off of the notion that Big Mom said on the day that when the rock pirates fell, I gave you this legendary fish fruit. So I was wondering maybe, see, this is where I get to my, oh man, I've still got dots to connect with this theory as well.
Yeah.
We could just completely unravel it with one pull of a thread. Like, yeah, if it had previously belonged to Zebek, if he is still alive, I'm not too sure. But if he got defeated and has actually ended up dying, maybe the fruit was quickly reincarnated. And Big Mom was like, yo, Kaido, boom, here you go. Or she had it and was like, you owe me. Like, this is, or maybe Kaido was dying on that same occasion too. And the fruit saved his life or something. Again, if I go into this way too deep, it's gonna reveal more holes in my theory, but put it on the record. Fish fruit previously belonged to Rocks D. Zebek. Maybe not. But honestly, dude, that more or less covers everything I want to chat about. It doesn't even feel like I've been chatting to you for an hour now. But like at this point, I'm I'm so thankful for all the support that you've given me for this so far, and being able to share this experience of enjoying One Piece with you, both from my perspective and your perspective. It's been such a fun journey to stay along, and now we're both up to date, and now we can just kind of kick
It's
on and
crazy.
along from here. So I'm excited because, like, with chapter 1000 being the whole ode to Luffy thing, I think our next 10 chapters is going to be like our Marineford battle porn kind of thing.
I feel like the next few chapters will be what all the stuff that everyone wanted to be 1000.
Yeah, it'll just be like, boom. Like I'm actually also keen for a Reverie flashback. I want to get back over there, see what's happening with the Revolutionary, see what's happening with Sabo. We'll definitely get there, of course. Yeah, I won't open up a whole nother battle of fish. But all in all, bro, thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to have a little bit of a chat, talk about One Piece chapter 1000 and all that business. You're a good brother. You're an absolutely good brother.
It's my absolute pleasure, my man.
If you did happen to make it this far through the video, you're also listen to two guys ramble about One Piece to this extent. I do really appreciate that. So, if you're along for the ride, thank you. If you just skipped to the end, thank you. If you didn't watch this at all, fuck you.
But maybe some editing to make it a bit more palatable.
Yeah, I'll narrow a couple of things down. But ladies and gentlemen, happy chapter 1000. This has been my favorite episode of One Piece Grand Line Opinions and Theories, OP Gloat ever. And I don't know, maybe we could do like group discussion things like once every couple of months or something, expand on particular topics or I don't know. I really enjoyed myself here. So thank you again, my man.
I've become the friend trying to make everyone else get into One Piece now. So you're the other person I have to talk about it. So
yeah, well we got Michael,
Riggs.
he's up to date now, and we got Riggs as well. We do have Riggs. He's in Punk Hazard, so
yeah. He's a little ways off.
I'll stop this recording back.